Hey, Battle Bill here with another video, and today we're voyaging into some more Voyager Cup battles. Now, this set that I'm about to show you is another set of 5 battles. I feel like that makes for a good video length and enough for me to talk about throughout the battles, where I'm not going to really feature a specific Pokemon, but what I am going to talk about is my team comp and my opponent's team comp, and what Pokemon ends up being focused on throughout these battles because of our 2 team comps. So, my team consists of Galvantula still, Azumarill, Altaria, Venusaur, Marshtomp, and Bastiodon. I actually made a change. In the last video, that change was there too. I didn't mention it. But I realized my team needed a tank, and Lucario just wasn't fitting the mold. I wasn't really using a fighter for much, especially because Marshtomp with its Mud Bombs can cover some similar situations that a fighter like Lucario could cover. So I figured Lucario could be switched out for something, and my team really needed a tank, so I went with Bastiodon. That's just like the one update my team has had in the recent past. Now, my opponent's team is a Shadow Victory Bell, love that spice, a Tentacruel, Skarmory, Melmetal, Toxicroak, and Marshtomp. Now, looking at his team, one thing you're going to notice throughout these battles is his current team has a huge weakness to Altaria. If you look at his team, the only thing that really counters Altaria is his Melmetal. Skarmory has a pretty even matchup against it, but even Altaria can pull that one out in specific situations, and nothing else on his team can really win that one-on-one matchup in even shields against an Altaria. So here we're going to go into these battles. And the first battle we have here, I decided to bring Altaria because I want to take advantage of that weakness, and he decides to lead with Skarmory. So for him, other than Melmetal, this is his next best option, next best situation for going up against my Altaria. And now we're just throwing quick moves at each other. I'm going for the Sky Attack here. I know how this matchup plays out a little bit just because in Go Battle League, I ran a team of Skarmory, Whiscash, and Swampert, and I would run into Altaria leads all the time. And I know Altaria wins this one just barely, as long as everything is even shielded. So he didn't shield, so I decide not to shield his Sky Attack that he's about to throw at me. And now we're both in the yellow, and I'm just Dragon Breathing him down, and I'm going to go for the Sky Attack as soon as I can, and he pulls off a fantastic swap. So that was a great swap to avoid the Sky Attack, but unfortunately for him, I came prepared to deal with that Melmetal, considering it was my Altaria's main weakness. So I swap in my Marshtomp. Now it's his Melmetal up against my Marshtomp, and I'm sitting here wondering if he's going to throw a superpower or not, but his Pokemon is locked in, and then I also realized that my friend hasn't changed his Melmetal's moveset, and he's actually running it with Rock Slide and Thunderbolt. So that was something we talked about afterwards. That's a change that he made to his Melmetal. He's now running it with superpower, and here I'm going for Mud Bomb, and the reason why you want to The reason why you want to run Superpower on your Melmetal is because it helps deal with its counters. Rock Slide and Thunderbolt both do not very effective damage against Melmetal's counters like the Mud Boys, so you definitely want to have that Superpower for some strong neutral damage. He brings in a Shadow Victory Bell, and you'll see how quickly my Marshtomp just got shredded by it, but that's fine. I can bring in my Altaria. Those Razor Leafs, as much as they're boosted by Victory Bell's Shadowness, I guess we can call it that, its defense is also low, and you'll see that my Dragon Breaths are really tearing it apart. So he's going to go for this Leaf Blade. I know it takes a while for Victory Bell to charge its moves, so he swaps back in, and when he swaps back into Skarmory, and it's just going to catch his Sky Attack, you know, the one that I essentially missed earlier when he had swapped out. And I'm totally okay with this because my third Pokemon is Bastiodon. He's used both his shields. My Bastiodon's going to absolutely wall this Skarmory, so this is a main reason why I made this change, because I don't really want Lucario in this matchup. Even though, considering if Lucario had full health, it would survive a Sky Attack, but that's neither here nor there. Now, he's going for another charge move. He's kind of just holding on to some last glimpses of hope, but none of his charge moves, even if he did go for Flash Cannon, which would be more energy efficient, wouldn't have done enough damage to Bastiodon to really threaten him taking this match from me. So now Victory Bell comes in, and I'm ready at a Flamethrower, and I'm just going to wrap this match up, and I'm going to throw it, and it's going to take down this Victory Bell to finish the match. So overall, what we've learned, and what we're going to continue to learn, is how to typically play Altaria in certain situations. I know Altaria is a pretty meta mon, so everybody really knows how to use their Altarias. They know what it's good for. You know you love that Dragon Breath damage. You know it takes a little while to get to those Sky Attacks. And those are some key points. But I just want to highlight over them again and just see the type of play that Altaria is going to continue to get in this Voyager Cup. Because it does fit my team very well, and it does go up against his team very well. So now, I don't want to be obvious and have him throw Melmetal at me in this next match. So I'm not going to just keep on leading with Altaria just because it is a weakness. So we go into this next match, and I decide I want to lead with Galvantula, and he happens to bring in Skarmory. So I'm like, oh, this is a great matchup. My Volt Switches are going to do a ton of damage to a Skarmory, and these discharges I'm going to get off pretty quickly, because we already know all about Galvantula from my first video, or my second video on Voyager Cup where I featured it. He's going to go for a Sky Attack. It is neutral damage because of Galvantula's electric typing, but Galvantula is super glassy, like we know, and that Sky Attack would take it down. So I'm going to shield it. I'm going to shield everything. As long as we match shields, essentially, Galvantula is going to take this match, and if he decides not to shield, Galvantula is definitely going to take this match. So now I get to my next discharge. I'm about to throw it here. I'm going to see how he decides he wants to play this and see if he wants to shield again, because if he shields, then I'm going to match that shield. So he decides he wants to shield. I'm throwing Volt Switches. I'm seeing how close I am to being dead. I know his quick move is not going to take me down before I get to the next discharge, so I'm going to shield this Sky Attack here. And I'm just going to try and fill up to the next discharge, or actually Volt Switch it down, which I end up doing. And I just barely survived. You know, those PvP IVs, they come in handy. My Galvantula's is a decent one. It's not amazing, because, you know, you don't find many wild Jolt Ticks running around. But this one's definitely good enough. So whatever comes in is catching his discharge. It happens to be his Victory Bell, and you see how that did about a third of its damage, and that was resisted. It's also because Victory Bell is a Shadow Pokemon, but regardless, discharge from Galvantula hurts. So now I know his Victory Bell is running Razor Leaf, so I decide to bring in Venusaur because it's going to resist those Razor Leafs. And I know he's going to throw a charge move, and I kind of want to figure out what his other Pokemon is. So I charged up a bunch on my Venusaur, and I swapped in Bastiodon here, and I'm like, okay, good. It's a good thing I charged up Venusaur and dipped, because if I would have just left it in, then that Marshtomp might have been able to give me some trouble, considering we don't have any shields, and I didn't want his Victory Bell to do any solid damage against me. So now I have Bastiodon on his Marshtomp. This is a positive matchup for him, but again, my Venusaur in the back has a Frenzy Plant locked and loaded. So this Mud Bomb's about to come through, and it's going to finish off my Bastiodon. I'm hoping he didn't overcharge enough. He actually did. He overcharged enough to have another Mud Bomb, which was a smart play on his part, because we CMP tied on the charge move, and I couldn't throw my Frenzy Plant right away. So I take that Mud Bomb, which does a decent amount of damage. Marshtomp has solid attack. Again, that was another video I did on Voyager Cup. Marshtomp can put in work in this cup. But now I'm going for my Frenzy Plant, and that's going to finish it off because it's double super effective. He brings in his Victory Bell, and now I'm worried about the Victory Bell's charge move because he didn't send it earlier. And he still didn't get it off here. I actually spoke to him after the match. He had a Leaf Blade, which would have won him this match. He decided that he wanted to go for the frustration to try and win this match. So I was like, alright, it's practice. So it's a little spice. That would have been funny to see. I don't know if he had gotten to the Leaf Blade when I swapped in my Bastiodon. So I might have been able to catch it then if he wasn't trying to go for that frustration. Because he didn't actually TM his Victory Bell's frustration away. Because honestly, you really want to use a Shadow Victory Bell for its Razor Leaf damage, not really for its charge moves. Razor Leaf takes forever to charge up any charge attacks. But overall, maybe if he did go for the Leaf Blade, I would have been able to catch on Bastiodon, and I could have possibly still pulled out that match regardless. So, we're going into this third match. I decide I want to lead with Altaria again in this match. And now we're going to find out what he decides to lead with. He decides to lead with Melmetal. And now I'm in a poor situation to start off this match. Now I'm thinking to myself, how should I play this out properly? I definitely don't want Altaria to catch a Rock Slide, so I let him charge up to one. And I decide to throw my Venusaur to essentially eat this Rock Slide. The reason why I threw in Venusaur instead of Bastiodon was because I forgot at this moment that he wasn't running Superpower. And throwing in Bastiodon against Melmetal with Superpower is not a positive situation for your Bastiodon. So I bring in Venusaur. He immediately hard counters my Venusaur with his Skarmory, and I'm thinking to myself, alright, let's get off as much damage as I can with this Venusaur. And luckily, I have Bastiodon in the back, so Bastiodon can essentially come in here and farm up his Skarmory and completely farm it down. Now, luckily, his Skarmory, I don't think it had Flash Cannon on it at this point, so when I bring in Bastiodon, it's an even better situation for myself. But even if he had Flash Cannon, they wouldn't have added up to the point where I would have really been worried about this matchup. I still would have been able to farm up a bunch of extra energy either way. So he's throwing his sky attacks. I'm committing to the full farm down. Hopefully his switch timer doesn't run out and he decides to swap his Skarmory out, because I would like to take it down all the way. But he's throwing charge move after charge move, which means his switch timer is bound to run out at some point. Now it's going to be up to him if he decides he wants to switch a Skarmory out. But we're committing. He's still throwing his quick attack. I'm still going for my smackdowns. And now he decides to switch. And he brings Melmetal in. I was about to quick swap, but I don't want Altaria against his Melmetal. So I'm like, you know what? I have a bunch of energy. Let me go for this flamethrower. I might have enough energy to go for a second flamethrower. So that's what I end up doing. I commit. And I'm sitting here like, oh, do I shield this? I think he has superpower. I'm pretty sure. Oh, no. I think I remembered. Oh, I know why I didn't shield. I didn't remember at that point that he didn't have superpower, but I thought he was going to bait me, because when you switch lock a Melmetal, the last thing you want to do is throw a superpower right away and then let its defense drop. So he threw that Thunderbolt, and I'm like, oh my god, I just remembered he doesn't have superpower. So at this point, I'm like, let's just leave Bastiodon. It'll tank both Rock Slide and Thunderbolt, so I'm not worried about either of those moves. I don't even need to shield any of them. And now, a possible poor matchup just turned into a positive one, because I can just farm down his Melmetal. I know his Skarmory can't come back in, so I'm about to find out what his third Pokemon is, and that third Pokemon ends up being Tentacruel. So now I have to be careful of this. I'm going to go for this Stone Edge right here, and I'm pretty sure what my plan is to swap in Altaria immediately so he can't farm down my Bastiodon, because I'm pretty sure his Tentacruel is running Blizzard, and that's the last thing I want my Altaria to catch. So I have 2 shields. I'm in a pretty good situation to avoid those blizzards. He decides to use his second shield, or his last shield there, and he's going for this charge move, and I'm like, you know, this is definitely an acid spray, but I don't care. I'm not taking any chances. I have 2 shields. The last thing I need is to get surprised by a blizzard to then lose this match. He throws that acid spray, and now I'm worried that he might get to another one, so I'm gonna completely farm him down, and he ends up not getting to another acid spray or a blizzard, luckily. So Skarmory comes in, my defense is lowered, so I definitely need to shield this charge attack that the Skarmory is bringing. But I already farmed down his Tentacruel, so my Altaria has a bunch of energy, and we CMP tied in the Sky Attack, so now I'm throwing my Sky Attack, and this will essentially wrap up this match. So another thing to take away from, other than Altaria's positive matchups in this situation, is that when you use your Melmetal, you want to run Superpower instead of Thunderbolt. You want Rock Slide for the quick damage, and you want Superpower to deal damage to what's super effective against Melmetal, or essentially its weaknesses. So that's something important to keep in mind. So now we're going to jump into this next match. Give me one moment. I'm just switching clips. I apologize. I ended up taking these in 2 separate clips because I didn't know if we were going to do 5 battles or not. But now we're going to the 4th battle, and I lead Altaria again, because it's such a glaring weakness that when I battle with my friends, I want to make sure I point them out so they know to change their teams based on this weakness. So if I see that, I'm going to just keep on pounding it until you decide to do the right thing and change up your team, because if you enter a tournament with that big of a weakness, people will take advantage of it and you will lose tournament matches because of it. And that's the last thing I want for my friends. I want my friends to be successful. I definitely want to be successful. So now in this situation, he had brought in Skarmory to essentially try and deal with my Altaria, but I had a Bastiodon in the back to essentially hard counter him switching in his Skarmory, which makes this even better because he led with Marshtomp. Now my Bastiodon can hard counter a Skarmory and avoid the mud bombs that the Marshtomp would have thrown at it. So he's going to keep on going for Sky Attacks because my friend here needs to TM his moves and get Flash Cannon on his Skarmory, and I'm just essentially going to commit to another farm down because I know no matter what his Skarmory throws at me, it is not going to deal any damage that threatens me in any way, shape, or form. So here comes another Sky Attack. This one's going through, and you see how little they do, and I'm just committing. I'm throwing more smackdowns, and I'm like, you know what, let me not overfarm. I'm bound to be at 100 energy, so I decide to actually go for the flamethrower. I also don't want him to be able to switch his Skarmory out, because I know the switch timer just ran out in the bottom right corner. So I'm like, let's not let his Skarmory get away safely. Let's take care of it and get it out. He brings in his Marshtomp, immediately goes for the Mud Bomb, and I'm like, you know what, I'll let the rest of this energy go to waste. That's fine, not that big of a deal, but then I survive. And then I'm hoping I can get to the charge move, and then Bastiodon goes down anyway. I got teased. Doesn't matter. I bring in Altaria. I'm still in a good situation. There's no move that Marshtomp has in its moveset that's going to worry my Altaria. So I'm going to let these Surfs come through. They resisted. They do a little chip damage, and I'm just over-farming on his Marshtomp because I don't know what his other Pokemon is, and now I decide to go for the Sky Attack. So I'm going for the Sky Attack. We both have 2 shields, I'm pretty sure. And he decides not to shield because he knows how poor of a matchup his Marshtomp has against my Altaria. And he brings in Victory Bell. And at this point, it's GG. There's nothing this Victory Bell is going to be able to do to hurt my Altaria either. So you're noticing a common theme here. So obviously I made sure to point this out when I was done with these matches with my friend, and I was talking to him about them, and he realizes it, and he made some changes and whatnot. So I'm curious to see how he adapts and what he throws at me next time we get into some more battles. He's going for this charge move here, which is going to be Leaf Blade. I shield it just because I'm just trying to wrap up this match, and I'm trying to wrap up the match because I mean, like, I know I'm gonna win. So now this game is over, and we're going to head into the 5th and final match of this set. So at this point, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I've abused him a bit with Altaria too much. So I think I decided to spice up my team a little bit. Do I? I don't remember. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Oh, I didn't spice up too much. I just decided I wanted to go with Galvantula instead. I still brought Altaria because it was too safe of a pick. But I decided to go with Galvantula as a lead, Altaria and Venusaur in the back. And now we start off this match, and it's Galvantula against his Toxicroak. Now, and this would seem like a bad match. The counters are resisted because of Galvantula's bug typing, but Galvantula is also glassy. But you'll also see those Volt Switches are doing a bunch. He swaps just in time to avoid Toxicroak taking the discharge, but instead Skarmory is going to take this discharge to the face. So I'm like, you know what? This situation's fine for me. I have Altaria in the back. It can deal with that Toxicroak. I was debating switching. I chose not to. And I'm just going to farm up and let him get to a Sky Attack just so I can try and get a little extra energy in case he decides to let a Skarmory go down when I throw this next discharge. Now the Sky Attack's coming through. And I'm pretty sure I go for the discharge now because I want to get extra energy for his next Pokemon that comes in, but I also know, again, Galvantula's glassy, and those little quick attacks are starting to add up on Galvantula's health. He decides not to shield, but I'm at another discharge. You'll see it in a second. We're going to wait. We're going to wait. Oh, I'm almost at another discharge. He brings in Marshtomp, and I wish I would have went for the Bug Buzz just to see how much it does against Marshtomp, but I was just like a little panicked just because I know that my Galvantula is low in health, and I don't want to take any chances of not getting this energy off in case, I don't know, he brought in something that took me down right away. So I was already tapping that discharge as quick as possible. But regardless, I'm in a good situation. I can bring in Venusaur here. Altaria will deal with his Toxicroak in the back, and he can throw a Mud Bomb, and it's not going to make too much of a difference to change the outcome of this match. But overall, honestly, I didn't even really need... I mean, I kind of needed Altaria in this match because, again, you'll see another Mud Bomb come through from Marshtomp, and they start to add up. They're neutral damage, and again, Marshtomp's more of an attack-type Mud Boy versus the bulky kind. So those Mud Bombs were doing more damage than you'd expect. He brings in his Toxicroak. I immediately bring in Altaria, and we run into this issue that his team of 6 had, which is Altaria again. So I'm farming him up. Well, I'm not really farming him up. I'm not even at a Sky Attack yet. But I know I can farm him up. I know this is a Sludge Bomb because he built up so much energy, and he really doesn't have too much health left to try and bait and then go for like the Mud Bomb bait and then go for a Sludge Bomb after. So I'm like, let me shield it up just to be safe. I completely farmed down his Toxicroak there, and now I'm loaded on energy, and his Marshtomp comes back in. He still has a shield, so I'm like, you know what? I know his Marshtomp can't do too much in this situation either, so there's no point in me really throwing any of my energy. So I'll take this Surf, and I will end this match by Dragon Breathing his Marshtomp down. So that's a nice set of 5 battles that I had with the friends. It points out how strong and how meta Altaria is in the Voyager Cup. Altaria is always meta. It's meta in Go Battle League. It's meta in whatever Silph Cup that it's allowed to be in. And like I said before, I'm curious to see how my friend ends up adapting to try and deal with his Altaria weakness. Let me know in the comment section what you think my friend can do to essentially change his team of 6 to deal with Altaria. He's already made some changes, and we're still playing around with it to see how that helps or maybe hurts his team. But in conclusion, I thought this was a really good set of 5, and I plan to be bringing you guys as much Voyager content and as much Go Battle League content as I can, whether I'm focusing on a specific Pokemon or I'm just going through and talking through some battles. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate everything you guys have done. I've been getting a lot of support early on with this YouTube channel, and I can't wait to bring you guys more content.